Happy Wednesday, everyone. May 15th. Welcome back to Weather on the Go. My name is Hunter, and in today's weather forecast, we're going to be walking you through several days in a row of severe weather potential for today, Thursday, tomorrow, and Friday as well. And that could include significant damaging winds, significant large hail, and some tornadoes along the way as well for each of those days. We'll do the complete breakdown of what you need to know, and we'll look ahead to your weekend forecast as heat continues to build across the south as we go into the weekend. We'll look at temperatures and precipitation through the weekend forecast and a very active weather pattern into late May. We'll look into that as we go into that time frame as well. So thank you all for joining here on this Wednesday. And if you are watching me here Wednesday morning, you can see temperatures this morning waking up across the United States. Pretty mild out here across the eastern 2/3 of the country. Very mild down in Florida. Look at that, waking up to 83 this morning in Miami. And we're on our way up to 90 this afternoon in Miami with heat index values approaching the triple digit point down across this region. Very warm temperatures, if not straight hot conditions across Texas into Oklahoma and along the Gulf Coast. Middle to upper 80s to even 90s there. And again, approaching the triple digit point down into the Rio Grande Valley for high temperatures this afternoon. And if you look at the heat index, like I mentioned, 100 degrees will be the heat index near Miami, 97 in Daytona Beach and Fort Lauderdale, and 96 up here further to the north toward the Jacksonville Beach area. So very warm temperatures, if not hot conditions to deal with, especially down in Texas, but also in Florida. So if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to my channel down below, especially if you like detailed, accurate weather forecasts throughout the entirety of 2024. We cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics on this channel. And also be sure to press the like button, the thumbs up button down below. It helps out more than you know. So let's go here and look at the energy in the atmosphere today. And you can see we have one piece of energy down in the Baja of California moving into northwestern Mexico today. And as we go into Friday, you can see that shifts across the lower and middle Mississippi Valley. And this is the piece of energy that's going to bring our 3-day severe weather event across the country. So let's look into this here today. We have a level 3 out of 5 on the risk scale, an enhanced risk of severe weather introduced by the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, across portions of the Texas Panhandle, getting into parts of the Oklahoma Panhandle, but also western and northern Oklahoma, and into southern portions of Kansas. We also have a couple slight risks of severe weather to our east as well, across the Carolinas, and then down here into central Florida. So a lot of areas of severe weather today. The most significant will be back here in the southern plains. So from southern Kansas into northern but western portions of Oklahoma, including the Oklahoma Panhandle and the Texas Panhandle. So say from Amarillo, east-northeast toward Elk City, the Oklahoma City area, and then up there toward Wichita, we could have a threat for over 75 mile-per-hour wind gusts with these storms later today. Some quarter-size hail to go around, especially in these yellow shaded colors here on the map. And we have a few areas of tornado potential, one back here into Kansas, Oklahoma, and the Texas Panhandle. Another one here into the Carolinas, and a third area back into central Florida. So let's look at the setup, especially for that enhanced risk area across the southern plains. We do have those 60s dew points advecting north from the western Gulf of Mexico, leading to more of a muggy environment down here across the plains. Now, this isn't the best plain setup for severe weather that we've seen this season, but that will contribute, those dew points in the 60s will contribute to 3,000 joules per kilogram instability in localized pockets across portions, especially of Oklahoma later today. So let's look here at what the radar could look like through this morning. Got some isolated storms down here in central Florida, isolated storms in the Carolinas here, and still waiting on storms in the southern plains and then enhanced risk area. As we grow into peak daytime heating this afternoon, we'll start to see scattered storm initiation from Kansas down here into western Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle. That could foster the threat for supercells, large hail, very large hail at times, and potentially even some very significant damaging winds will evolve from this as this grows upscale into kind of a broken line of storms or a full squall line as it pushes across Kansas, Oklahoma, and the eastern Texas panhandle as we go through this evening. Also watching more big storms across the coastal Carolinas, Wilmington down there toward Myrtle Beach, and maybe the Charleston area as we go into the evening hours. A lot of pockets of some heavy rainfall here for today. We do have some heavier rains up into the eastern Dakotas, up there into northwestern Minnesota. Another pocket down here into portions of the Central Plains into southeastern Kansas, northern and northeastern Oklahoma, into southwest Missouri. And a secondary or third area rather of pockets of heavy rain down into central Florida as well. Now as we go into Thursday, this is May 16th tomorrow, another slight risk across Texas Hill Country, marginal risk extending up here into the lower Missouri Valley and towards the Ohio River Valley, towards places like Paducah, up here into Jonesboro, Arkansas, Cape Girardeau, even the St. Louis area as we go into Thursday. Wind and hail are going to be the biggest threats here, 60-mile-per-hour winds, especially in this yellow shaded color here. And we also have the threat for some hail, greatest in the yellow shaded color, with a significant hatched risk for large hailstones over 2 inches in diameter, folks. That is lime or hen egg size or larger across West Texas. In a couple areas, we're also watching for some tornadoes possible. One up here into southern Illinois, southeastern Missouri, western Kentucky, and northwestern Tennessee. And another area down here into Texas Hill Country, especially in West Texas. We'll keep a close eye on that. Looking at the setup for tomorrow, 60s dew points advecting north all the way up here to southern Kansas and Oklahoma, all the way through Missouri into southern Illinois. That's feeding into that marginal to slight risk of severe weather. A little bit better of instability down here in south central and west central Texas. That will feed into the hail threat as we have dry air aloft. Hail formation is key for that. We also do, need some very strong instability, if not extreme instability, for hailstones over 2 inches in diameter. We see that verifying tomorrow afternoon across portions of west central and also south central Texas. So you can see tomorrow morning ongoing thunderstorm activity from Wednesday night will likely be ongoing at the beginning of the period tomorrow. We'll see additional storms develop here either on outflow boundaries or just renewed development across much of Texas. So the DFW Metroplex down through I-35 toward Waco and even the Austin area could be very wet as we go into tomorrow afternoon. Big storms out west here in West Texas, supercells, very discrete, semi-discrete, producing those big hailstones. You can see those rumbling across western and central Texas. Taking a run at the DFW Metroplex, I think those supercells may fall apart before they reach there after dark, but more of a mesoscale convective system with training thunderstorms that we're concerned about across East Texas, Louisiana, into southwestern Mississippi. This could lead to a localized flash flooding threat for portions north of Houston over toward Lake Charles, Alexandria, Louisiana, extending over there toward New Orleans and Hattiesburg as we go into Thursday night. So here's the updraft helicity tracks. This basically shows you where the more intense supercell thunderstorms will be moving through. You can see with the big hail potentially across West Texas, some of those could be long-lived supercells through central Texas, eventually eastern and southeastern Texas, and maybe even into Louisiana. So a big swath of hail potential as we go through Thursday and Thursday night, keeping a close eye on that. Going into Friday, May 17th, it doesn't stop there. We have a slight risk level 2 out of 5 on the risk scale across Louisiana, Mississippi into western Alabama, and extreme western Florida there. Marginal risk extending up there toward the Lexington-Richmond area, Nashville, and also Huntsville and Florence, and even up toward Memphis as we go into Friday. Significant severe weather from Louisiana into southern Mississippi, around the Jackson area south toward Laurel, and then back here towards the Baton Rouge area, Alexandria, and Lake Charles region on Friday, and that could include very large hail, significant winds, and a few tornadoes. Additionally, to the severe weather threat, very heavy rainfall. Flash flooding is going to be a serious problem across East Texas, Louisiana, southern portions of Mississippi into southern Alabama. You see the stripe of reds and oranges, even some yellows popping up here. That's at least 4 to 7 inches worth of rain just through Friday night, folks. So looking at the flash flood probability today, a couple pockets up in the upper Midwest, the Central Plains, over here into the eastern Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic region, and then down into central Florida, just with a marginal risk for flash flooding today. Not too big of a deal. More concentrated flash flooding concerns as we go into tomorrow tomorrow on Thursday, May 16th, a moderate risk of flash flooding across East Texas, much of Louisiana, into western portions of Mississippi. That moderate risk will then shift east into southern Mississippi, southern Alabama as we go into Friday. Another slight risk up here into Missouri, southern Illinois, western Kentucky, and southwestern Indiana as well for Friday. So looking at that, a slight risk for flash flooding. Scattered flash floods will be possible. They're mainly localized, but it's something you need to watch here on urban areas and roads, small streams and washes. Isolated significant flash floods are possible in a slight risk category for flash flooding. While we have moderate risk in some areas, especially from East Texas all the way to Alabama, numerous flash floods are likely. Numerous flash flooding events with significant flash floods possible. Many streams may flood, potentially affecting larger rivers in that area. So something we need to very much keep an eye on as we go through late this work week. Heading into the weekend, we have a ridge of high pressure building across Mexico up into the southern United States, especially into the Rio Grande Valley. This will lead to more heat as we go into Saturday. So look at the heat building across Texas. You can see 80s and 90s down here. A nose of 80-degree temperatures moving up into the Midwest here. Very warm Saturday night as well. So a very nice night to get out and enjoy those warmer spring-like temperatures. Look at that, 66 for lows into the Detroit region. 67 in Indianapolis, and near 70 for a low there in St. Louis, and will warm right back up on Sunday, and the warmth will push a little bit further north as well. 90s pushing further north into the Texas Panhandle and even into southern Oklahoma as we go into Sunday, May 19th. Looking at the weekend precipitation trends here, pretty wet day on Saturday across the eastern seaboard, especially from the Delmarva down here across the Carolinas, Georgia, and North Florida. Some active weather also across the upper Midwest with a low pressure system up in Manitoba as a 995 millibar low pressure sits up there. Here's our strong high pressure system into Colorado for Saturday. That will become a double-barreled area of high pressure, so a lot of sunshine can be expected there for the weekend across the heartland of the country. As we go into Sunday, we still have the high pressure to the south, but we're watching over top of that ridge of high pressure. A little bit of a weakness there could lead to a complex of showers and storms Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and Sunday night across portions of the high plains into the Midwestern regions, especially centered across Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, and then over into northern Illinois. That could provide the threat for isolated strong thunderstorms as a nocturnal low-level jet starts to strengthen across the Missouri Valley, over 50 knots there as we go into Sunday night, helping to maintain that line of storms, that complex of storms into the evening. This will also be dropping more heavy rain. We've seen a lot of rain across the Midwest this spring. We're going to be adding to those totals across Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, into northwestern and northern Illinois. Widespread totals there, especially Sunday afternoon into Sunday night. This will mostly fall around 1 to 2 inches here in some localized areas, so we'll keep a close eye on that. Looking at the Climate Prediction Center 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from Monday, May 20th through Friday, May 24th, the pattern remains as we have high pressure ridge across the south feeding into those well above normal temperatures, especially here near the Gulf Coast and into the Rio Grande Valley. Troughs moving in, shortwave troughs across the Pacific Northwest over top of that ridge will actually bring below normal temperatures. So going through next week, you can see it's cooler across the Pacific Northwest, but the heat is on across the south as we go into Monday, Wednesday, middle of next week, and on Friday. Look at all the 90s, even pushing up there to Little Rock on Friday the 24th, 90 degrees there, 92 in Fort Smith, and 90 over here into Tulsa as well on Friday. You can see cooler to the north. That's where we have the active weather with those shortwave troughs kind of flattening off the top part of that ridge. We're going to see above average precipitation from the Rockies, the northern and central Rockies, through the north central plains and into the upper Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and parts of the Tennessee Valley as we go through next week. And you can see the rainfall will be adding up in this corridor from Monday, May 20th through Friday, May 24th. Next work week, very heavy rains with complexes of mainly overnight storms that could also pose a risk for severe weather. We have those MCSs, kind of a summer-like pattern as we go into next week. That will bring more lines of storms with damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes here from the Dakotas into Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, down into Illinois, southern Wisconsin, Michigan, and then that stretches over into the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, and toward the eastern seaboard, while the southern U.S., under the influence of that ridge of high pressure, all that heat, will remain mostly dry through next week. Well, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the video down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel as we cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics. We'll get to more of that in tomorrow's video. And thank you guys so much for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday out there.